All right, guys, so I'm going to take you through an example on the Marbleslide activity in case you were having some issues with it, because I know it's due today. If you don't get it done till tomorrow, that's fine. The next assignment will be posted tomorrow. So we're going to create equations that are exponential, and we talked about how if you want the function to grow, you need to put a base that's bigger than 1. And if you want the function to decrease or decay, you're looking for a base that is bigger than 0 but less than 1. And for all of our transformations, okay, so if you want to shift the graph more to the right, you want to have x minus h and increase the value of h. If you want to shift the graph more to the left, you want to have x plus h and increase the value of h. If you want to shift it up, increase the value of k. If you want to shift it down, we're going to do minus, and we can increase the value of k. So I'm going to show one of the examples that's on the Marbleslide activity so you can see how we can set this up. Okay, so this was slide 19, challenge number 4. Okay, so you can use this example as you go through, but I just want to kind of show you where we're going to come up with the example. So if we're looking at the stars, we have to make sure we hit the highest stars first. So this star has to get hit first, then this one, then this one, then this one. So if you follow the order, we can decrease to hit this star, but then we're going to have another curve going this way to hit this star, and then another curve going this way to hit this star. So this one, we're going to have 3 exponential curves. So if I'm looking at the first one, I want to create a curve that decreases, and that's going to hit these 2 stars. So in my equation, I want to have a base that's going to be less than 1. So I'm going to use a base. Let's start with something like 0.8. And then we're going to hit to the x. And then I'm not going to shift it left or right, but I'm going to actually put something there just in case. I'm going to do my parenthesis. And then I'm probably going to want to maybe shift it a little bit to the right. So I'm going to put minus. Let's just start with like a 2 for now. Then we can shut that parenthesis. And then I want to shift this graph up. So it's something like hit add maybe 7. Okay. So we're going to work with this function. So obviously we're not hitting this star yet because it's not included in the graph. So what I want to do is maybe shift it down a little bit more and to the right. So since I want to go further to the right, I'm going to change this value, maybe make it a 4. And then shift down a little bit, so maybe make this a 6. Okay, so we're getting better. All right, we're a little bit closer, but I think I need to shift a little bit more to the right and down. You can also mess with the base if you need to. I'm going to change this to a 5. Oops, maybe they made this. Let's make it like a 10. And then maybe shift it down some. So let's change this to like a 3. Oops, too much. So let's make this a 5. All right, so now we're not hitting this star. So now I want to move it a little bit more to the left. So I'm going to decrease this value. Let's make it an 8. And I think if we shift it up just a little bit, so maybe make this 5.5. Now this should be perfect. So we should be hitting this star and this star. Okay, so now we want this function to end right here. So we want to put it into domain restriction because we need to have the marbles drop down to the next function. So the x value, we just wanted to hit the star and then drop. So right about here, so 16, 17, 18, 19. So I'm going to put in my bracket, put x less than 19. And then close your bracket. And now you can see that this function will end. So right away, we're going to hit these 2 stars. Then it's going to drop. And now we need to have a curve to hit this one. So if we want to have a curve here, that's going to have to be some type of increasing curve. So the base will have to be bigger than 1. Let's make it like 1.2 to the, we're going to do parentheses x, because I think we're still going to want to shift this graph to the right. So let's do minus, let's start with 7. And again, I'm just kind of making up these numbers and I'm going to adjust them as I go through. And then we still have to shift it up. Let's put like plus 3 and see where we're at. Okay, so this looks like it's good. It's going to hit the star, but it's too far to the left, so the marbles won't hit it. So I definitely want to move this graph more to the right. So I want to increase this value. Let's make it 11. Oh, I need to increase a little bit more. Let's make it 15. And then the marbles need to fit in between here, so we might have to go a little bit more. Let's make it 18, and then maybe we could shift it up so it can hit the star. So maybe make this 4. Oh, maybe not that much. Let's try 3.5. And that looks good. So now these marbles are going to drop, hit these 2 stars, then fall on this curve, hit this star. And now we need to create one more function. So we need to stop this function right about here so the marbles can drop. So let's say at 3. So we're going to graph this function where x is greater than 3. Got our brackets. So therefore it stops at 3, but it's everywhere greater than 3. All right, so now we've got our curve here. We're going to hit these 2 stars. It's going to drop here. It's going to hit this star. And now we need to have one more curve to hit this star. So it's going to have to go in this direction. So it's going to have to be a decay curve. So again, base is going to have to be less than 1. So let's try something like y equals, we did 0.8 before. Let's try 0.7. And then we're going to go to the, and there's our variable, our exponent button, parentheses, x. We might want to shift this to the right. We can see, we might want to, we might not have to. Let's just say -1. And then we're definitely going to have to shift it up from there. All right, so it can hit the star. So we definitely have to shift it up. So let's do plus, let's say 2. And that actually almost looks perfect. Maybe down a little bit. So let's try 1.8. There we go. And actually that looks like the marbles will fall perfectly. So this one we don't even have to put a domain restriction on it. So now let's hit launch and see if these marbles are actually going to hit all these stars. Hit launch. Boom. We hit that one. There we go. We hit the next one. They're going up, but then they're going to roll back down and fit. There we go. We hit that star. And hopefully with the last one, success. Yay. Okay, so there's a lot of variability. These are not the only functions that work. Okay, there's a lot of variation that will work. You just need to make sure that you hit those stars. Okay, so here's just an example so you can kind of see how you're going to develop these functions. But the key thing here is you have to have the y and the x. All right, but these numbers, the base, all right, these values that we had with our function, all right, the base, the h value, and the k value can all change. All right, and you can adjust them to fit however you want. Okay, so if you have any questions on this, make sure that you email me if something's not working, but make sure you look at that example that I did first, and you can use that one as you do the Marbleslide activity. Okay, so it's due today, but again, if you don't finish it today and get it in by tomorrow or even later, as long as it's complete, that will be fine. And you have to make sure that you complete all sections in order to get credit. Okay, so the next assignment will be posted tomorrow on Thursday, and I will see you then. All right, bye guys.